Enterprise Stories is the weekly radio program that shares the experiences of successful Nigerian entrepreneurs and provides expert analysis of their success factors. Enterprise Stories, business stories of success.
Welcome to Enterprise Stories. My name is Olawale Anifowoshe, your host. This episode will expose you to passion and how you can make a business out of your passion. Our story this week is about the lady that turned an interest, a love for stationaries into a business. Our analysis will also show you pointers as to how the critical success factors or decisions made a business successful. This episode is a true learning experience. But before we start, let's take a quick message from our sponsor, Stanbic IBTC.
When you are successful in your small business, as I am, people will always come to you. They want to know what you're doing differently, who your bankers are, and what kind of deals you are getting from them. Well, I'm happy to enjoy all the benefits of the SME0COT account from Stanbic IBTC Bank. My profit is up. But why? Because I get 0 COT, unlimited turnover, no limit on check lodgement or withdrawals, free internet and telephone banking, as well as discount on training courses for small business owners. With special benefits like that on the SME0COT account from Stanbic IBTC Bank. Now, there is no reason why your business won't boom just like mine.
Stanbic IBTC Bank, moving forward.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of the Enterprise Stories. My name is Bumi Afolabi, and I'll be your faculty for today. I'm sure that several times you have probably said to people, oh, even though they say there's a lot of unemployment in the country, I can't find the right people to do my work. I'm sure that sounds familiar. So today we're going to be talking about how to get skilled staff for your company, for your business. Hiring the right talent is vital to the success of your business. I think we all agree on that. But as a busy entrepreneur, do you really have time to sift through so many resumes and so many applications every time that you have an opening in your organization? I would like to share a few tips with you on how to get the right people without spending too much time. In other words, how to work smarter at getting the right people for your businesses. First of all, step one is, rather than posting a job, post the problem that the employee you want is coming in to solve. So on whatever channels you're posting your job vacancies, write out the problem that this new hire is going to solve. Give a lot of details as to what exactly you expect them to do. Explain what pain they're coming to alleviate and how you see them accomplishing that as quickly as possible in that role. Then explain why your company exists. What are you there to solve? What problem does your company solve? Again, be rich in details. And then finally, tie in how the right candidate will help to support those efforts that your company is making in the marketplace. Step two then would be to ask the candidates to answer 3 key behavioral questions. So rather than just asking them to submit a resume in response to your posting, ask them to write you an essay, a short one that answers 3 specific questions. First of all, what do they know about your business and your industry? How did they come to learn what you do and why it is important to your clients? Ask them what is their favorite aspect of your business and why. Thirdly, ask them for their LinkedIn profile as well as their profile on any other social media networks that they're at, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or any other social media. Ask them to give you their profiles on each of those social media that would support their application. Make it very clear to them that you do not want them to submit any other type of materials or attachments other than the essays that you have asked them to write. Finally, provide an email alias that is created specially for that application and have them send all those applications directly to you. Set a deadline of about 10 days for people to respond, and then just sit back and wait for the responses to come in. Now, this sounds very simple, so you wonder, what would make this approach work? I will tell you, first of all, slackers would not apply for this position, because by asking them to write an essay, you are basically ensuring that people who just specialize in doing mass emailing of their resumes to any position that they see advertised anywhere on the internet would not apply to you. So you save yourself the time of sifting through those applications. Secondly, you also find that for anyone that has taken the time to respond, they have done their research, they understand your company to some extent, they understand your industry for them to be able to, or to be willing to even respond to your questions in the first place. So this way you are going to get a higher quality of people who are actually responding. So you probably have maybe 1/10 of the number of resumes or applications that you would have received from a normal job posting. But this time around, they will be more qualitative and you would spend less time sifting through, and you probably get a higher percentage of good candidates coming out of the process as against the normal standard process. Again, remember that it's still possible that some people would still submit their standard resume and cover letter and send to you. Obviously, those ones can be eliminated straight away because it means they didn't read the instructions. And if they didn't, then that means that they are not the right candidates you're looking for either. The last part about what makes this really work is the fact that when those people you've shortlisted now actually come for an interview, the interview becomes more engaging and more interactive and more useful, because then you're going to be discussing the things that the person has written in their essay. You're going to be discussing with a greater depth of understanding of what the person is coming to do and the problems that the person is coming to solve. And you will find out that whoever you eventually hire out of this process will be quite enthusiastic about coming to work for you. First of all, because having taken the time to research, to do all this research and submit the application, it means that they're genuinely interested in working for you. And then also having gone through the interview process, talking with you and understanding your business better from you, they would actually be more enthusiastic when they come in because they know why they're coming in. They know the problem they're coming to solve, and they will be fully ready to do that. So with these few tips that I have given you, I am quite optimistic that you will be able to work smarter, spend less time sifting through unnecessary resumes, and be able to get the right kind of talent into your business in a much shorter time. I look forward to hearing your enterprise stories. Thank you very much.
My brother, you see, for this our import and export business, not be who go China pass 9 be the issue. Now who you dey follow talk 9 matter, who you dey follow talk as how? The expert then will sabi the business of import and export in total. People like Stanbic IBTC Bank.
Stanbic IBTC? Nah, person name be that.
Stanbic IBTC Bank na my bank, and then sabi my business well.
Announcing the arrival of Flight 220 from China.
Doing business in China? Come, let's talk about how our expertise and understanding of the import and export business will help you grow and trade smarter. With Stanbic IBTC Bank, you have access to import and export trade finance, letters of credit, telegraphic transfer, bills for collection, and other well-tailored trade advice that moves you forward. For more information, visit www.stanbicibtc.com or call our number 0700 2255 782 6242. Stanbic IBTC, moving forward.
We are back. We are now in the story of the day segment, and in the studio with me today is Barbara Kanu, the CEO of Paper Style Limited. Barbara, you're welcome to Enterprise Stories.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now, Paper Style. What is Paper Style all about?
Okay, Paper Style is actually about the supply of stationery and office gifts to companies. It all started with my passion for pens and papers and all kinds of stationery items. Okay, back in those days in the school, I used to steal pens and people's stationery items.
Let me move my pen. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I used to steal those things. I don't do that anymore because I can afford a pen. Okay, so when I started thinking about starting a business, I just said the main thing that should drive me is my passion. Okay, so I thought about all the kinds of things I like to do, and of course the one that was uppermost in my mind is it possible for me to sell what I enjoy doing or using? So I decided to go into the stationery business, office supplies and stuff like that. That was the initial plan. Okay, so time to look for a name. I just thought paper, which is the essential, the core of all office operations and all office businesses. It was what came to my mind. And without paper, you can't use any of all the other things that you use in the office. You can't use your filing cabinet, you cannot use your paper clips, you cannot use your staplers and stuff like that. So why I now thought about that paper style is where everybody has a different way of doing things. I'm probably a paper clip kind of person, you're probably a stapler kind of person. People don't like to puncture holes, some people like to clip their files. And so I just said, okay, what is your paper style? Paper style limited.
Wow,
So
that is
that's how
really
it
interesting.
came
Listeners, if you're just joining us, we are talking to Barbara Kanu, the CEO of Paper Style, and she's telling us about how she started Paper Style. Now, I have one very interesting question. What were you doing before you started Paper Style?
Okay, just before I started my entrepreneurship life, I was working as the executive assistant and personal assistant to quite a number of people. I was personal assistant to the managing director of Health Plus. I was with her for about 6 months. Before then, I was with the British Council. I was the executive assistant to the country director and senior leadership team. Both roles were very admin related and very admin
So you're a very organized person.
Yes, I needed to pay attention to detail.
Yes.
I needed to organize things and organize people and events and schedule diaries, appointments and things like that. So I always had to do with a lot of stationery items as well. So I did that for about 4 years. Cumulatively, with that both experience, 4 to about 5 years before I decided it was time for me to take my life to the next
so
level.
basically this work experience you had also contributed to you starting Paper Style.
Exactly.
Very good. All right, let's move on very quickly. In starting Paper Style, did you require any kind of funding from anywhere, or how did you come about the income that you use, or the capital rather that you used to start Paper Style?
Okay, for my funding to get the money to start the business, I used almost all of my life savings. I've been working for a number of years, and I had some savings, and then with the help of my very supportive husband, who also gave me some of his own savings as well. So we started.
I hope you paid him back. In kind.
In kind.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I understand very well you have the passion for Paper Style, but what happened that made you realize, aha, I am in this for good?
Okay. I think it was basically the way people appreciated what I did. Initially, it was more or less a buy and sell. I'm buying and I'm selling. But when I speak to people and I speak to businesses and I try to help them to get their stationery unit or the admin unit organized, more productive and more efficient, and the way they came back to me and like, oh, thank you very much, this is really good, it's a beautiful idea, the kind of response I got and the fulfillment I got at the end of the day, I told myself, I will not get this working with anybody. It's all me. This is just me. I started it, I finished it, I was applauded. I'm not sharing the glory with anybody, and I'm like, okay, this is all worth it. In particular, I would like to mention there was an incident where I was at the right place at the right time. I had a contact who worked in a multinational oil company who just called. I called to say hello, and she said, oh, okay, what do you do now? And I told her what I did, and she said, oh, they've just released a bid for stationery supplies in their company, and I was invited, and I made the bid and I got the job, and I started supplying this multinational company, and the kind of money I was making, the kind of profit I was turning in, it was really worth it. And it was something I said to myself, if I could build on this, get registered in more as a vendor in more of all these multinational companies, I could actually make this kind of money times 2 or triple my efforts on a monthly basis.
Wow. It's interesting. If you're just joining us, we have been listening to Barbara Kanu, the CEO of Paper Style, and she has just shared with us how she had her first big break in a paper business. Barbara, you've said a lot of interesting things, but I would like to know, what are some of the challenges you've experienced in running this business, and how have you been able to overcome them?
One of the major challenges I would like to talk about is the perception about stationery and office supplies. Okay, if a company releases its budget for the year and says, okay, this is what we're going to spend on for the whole year, and it's high, the first place they would like to make a cut is in the stationery. Everybody just wants to like, oh, why are we spending so much on paper? We need to go paperless.
Yes,
and then they
yes,
cut,
yes.
and then they cut the budget, and that ultimately affects me. So what I've tried to do is to speak with these companies or these businesses just before they make their budgets. I give them tips on how they can cut down their expenses or manage their expenses more or less, so that they're not spending as much as they would. For example, place your order on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. That way you can say, you can manage the costs of those items. You can say, okay, this is how much you're going to actually spend, as against buying it on a needs basis and stuff like that. So that's one of the main challenges that we've come across. And then the life of an entrepreneur, it's challenging. So you try to do it all by yourself, especially when you do not have the available hands, the kind of hands that you know will help you do this business. That's the human resource challenge. You get people who are just in it for the money, and when they don't see the money, they're not interested anymore. They're half in, half out. So basically what we've tried to do is to ensure that we have a HR system where we can monitor and compensate staff who are performing, monitor performance, and then retain the good hands that we have.
Fantastic. Thank you, Barbara, for sharing your story with us today. Listeners, we've been listening to Barbara Kanu, the CEO of Paper Style, who has shared some of her challenges, has shared how she started a business, even shared with us how she had her first big break. But Barbara, before you go, for the listeners out there that are thinking of going into this kind of business, what one word would you be sharing with them?
Actually, Wale, I have 2 words. Passion. Actually, it's 3 words. Passion and support system. With your passion, it can tide you when things are bad and things don't look as rosy as they should. Because you have that passion for it, you can always trudge on. Then your support system. When things are down, you should always have someone who can speak to you, someone who can encourage you and tell you, okay, this is not the end of the world, better things are yet to come. So if you have a very good support system, you can live the life of an entrepreneur and be a very successful one at that.
Thank you very much, Barbara, for sharing your story with us today. Listeners, we've come to the end of the Story of the Day segment, and you have heard it from Barbara. She's been sharing her story with us today. Paper Style. She's talked about the challenges she's had, how she overcame them. She's talked about how she came about starting the business with the passion she had. She's also talked to us about the support system, which has helped her to be sustainable. If you missed the story of Paper Style, please log on to edc.edu.ng and you can download this episode. We'll be right back after this short break with the analysis of the story.
When you are successful in your small business, as I am, people will always come to you. They want to know what you're doing differently, who your bankers are, and what kind of deals you are getting from them. Well, I'm happy to enjoy all the benefits of the SME Zero COT account from Stanbic IBTC Bank. My profit is up. But why? Because I get zero COT, unlimited turnover, no limit on check lodgement or withdrawals, free internet and telephone banking, as well as discount on training courses for small business owners. With special benefits like that on the the SME Zero COT account from Stanbic IBTC Bank. Now, there is no reason why your business won't boom just like mine.
Stanbic IBTC Bank, moving forward.
You're tuned in to Enterprise Stories, brought to you by Stanbic IBTC and Enterprise Development Center of the Pan Atlantic University.
Welcome back to Enterprise Stories. We've just heard the story of Paper Style Limited. Bumi, give us your expert analysis.
Thank you, Wale. Barbara's story is quite interesting. One of the things that I really liked about what she talked about is how much thought went into naming her business. A lot of us don't actually think about that when we're starting our businesses, that a name is representative of what we do. So I think that's a very valid point that we should take out of the story, putting some thought into naming our businesses. Obviously, that applies to those of us that are just about to go into business. Another thing that I would like to take out from what she talked about is the fact that she used her network of contacts to be able to grow her business. Networking is an important skill that every business owner should cultivate. It helps you when you're in the right place at the right time, because really opportunity meets the prepared. I also liked one thing she said with regards to that opportunity. She called someone that she hadn't heard from in a long time. The person said, a bid has just come out, I want you to participate in it. And participating in that bid opened her eyes to see more opportunities, more areas in which she could grow her business. That is the power of networking and the power of keeping in touch with people. I want to say that when it comes to networking, don't just look at it as, oh, what can I get from this person for now? Look at what can I give to this person. And in the process of giving, you will find that along the line, something would open up and you would be able to take and get something as well. Finally, I want to talk about the last point she made with regards to the challenges that she had in running her business. She realized that a lot of organizations cut costs when they're having issues. And one of the first areas they look to cutting costs is stationery. So rather than just folding her arms and just allowing the challenge to affect her business, she proactively decided to start engaging with her clients and actually started giving them tips on how they can better manage their stationery and their administrative costs. And in doing this, she was able to endear herself to her clients so that at the end of the day, even when they are cutting costs, the little amount of money they're spending will still go towards her business. So, dear listeners, from the story that Barbara has told and from the analysis that I've just given, I hope that you have been able to get a few tips to help you in growing your own businesses as well. And I look forward to hearing your success stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Bumi, for your analysis. Listeners, we've come to the end of Enterprise Stories for this week. If you've missed the story of Paper Style, please log on to www.edc.edu.ng and download this week's episode. Until next week, stay blessed. The Enterprise Development Center of the Pan Atlantic University invites you, the women, to pitch your business ideas to a panel of angel investors at the second Women in Africa Conference coming up on the 10th and 11th of July 2013. For more information, log on to edc.edu.ng. Join Enterprise Development Center of the Pan Atlantic University, formerly known as the Pan African University, as we celebrate 10 years of entrepreneurship development in Nigeria. For questions and comments, please email edc@pau.edu.ng or log on to Enterprise Stories on nigeria.sme2k.org for useful resources and articles to help grow your business.